Hello there. Welcome to my show, COVID-19 update by Heerak for January 18, 2021. Yeah, it is 18 days past the new year. And the time is always right to do what is right. Words of Dr. Martin Luther King, whose birthday we are celebrating as a nation today. It holds truth, timeless, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to share some photos of my campaigning, and this is in um, Harlan Springs Elementary School. You know, they have food distribution. So I participated in distributing food. It's like once a month. And I made a lot of friends, you know. Those are all the volunteers that I took photo with. And, you know, they were excited about me running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. As you know, Arlington is one of the areas that is included in Virginia's 8th District. So Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. So yeah, so you know, everybody wanted to take a photo, a group photo together. you know, uh, because I guess it's kind of cool. They thought that I'm running for U.S. Congress, and they like me. you know, I'm a likable person, so everybody wanted to take a photo together. Uh, you know, um, so that's you see the group photo there. Maybe you recognize some of them. They're your neighbors, you know. Um, and I met a buddy. I mean, I made friends with all of them, but I had a buddy who was I worked in the foreign service for many years, and he and I would distributed like ramen, you know. So it was nice. I also made friends with the janitor or custodian. He spoke no English. Well, at least I don't know. I don't think he spoke any English. I don't know. I mean, he didn't really say anything in English. So he spoke Spanish, I think. But I guess he's custodian from Carlin Springs Elementary School. So, and you see that kind, that's like Arlington Public Schools theme. You have the K and ND, and then you can stand like in empty space and it becomes kind. So I did that at Harlan Springs Elementary School. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy campaigning, Um, People in Arlington like meeting me, as a candidate for U.S. Congress of Virginia's 8th District, and when I was there at the Carlin Springs Elementary School, like everybody that I met, all the volunteers, there were high school volunteers, college volunteers. There were people who were like, like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, who were volunteering, to distribute food. Um, yeah. So yeah, people like meeting, congressional candidate, and not everybody's going to vote for you, obviously, Um, but we are a democracy, so people like meeting candidates, I guess, But I know I'm likable. What can I say? So they like meeting me, you know. But today is Dr. Martin Luther King Day, so a lot of people are taking day off. Our nurse manager took a day off too in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. Or maybe, I don't know. I'm guessing, I may be wrong, but I like, our nurse manager never takes a day off. So I figure it's in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But yeah, I work today at Virginia Hospital Center. I like working and helping people, and so I enjoyed working, and I work well in a team. So I feel like I'm getting the groove with different healthcare team members. I don't know. I mean, I think I have found my partner in in healthcare delivery. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of teamwork. So I don't know. I mean, time will tell. But I think we were like walking kind of. We're beginning to work in sync. Which is good. As you know, I'm a clinical nurse leader, CNL. So I've been professionally trained as a clinical nurse leader at Georgetown University. It's a 2 years master's program in Georgetown University School of Nursing and Health Studies. So we are expertly trained to become experts in horizontal leadership. You may not know what horizontal leadership is, but horizontal leadership is a concept that is very 21st century. So vertical leadership is you have the top-down leaders. You have the nurse manager, and then you have the nurse assistant managers, and then you have the charge nurse, and then the nurse. So it goes top-down. But lateral or horizontal leadership is you work in a collaborative teamwork across different disciplines. So so that's what we are professionally trained as. When clinical nurse leader uh, program or certification was created by American Academy of Colleges of Nursing, AACN, which is the professional organization that organizes which direction nursing profession should go. When they created clinical nurse leader positions or certification programs in colleges, mostly in the master's program, but you could do it in other programs, certificate programs. But it's generally at the master's level. It's like an equivalent to MBA in the nursing profession. Uh, they envisioned a lateral leadership or horizontal leadership or collaborative teamwork organizer in a way, someone who could coordinate that across multiple disciplines, because American Academy of Colleges of Nursing identified that there's a problem in healthcare delivery in hospitals where a lot of the disciplines are independent of each other, and that's creating sometimes friction, sometimes not effective healthcare delivery. So, in an effort to streamline effectiveness uh, in healthcare delivery across different disciplines, um, American Academy, American Association of Colleges, is it American Association or American AACN, American Association of Colleges of Nursing? Yeah, so it's like basically, like different colleges of nursing, like coming together in a professional organization. So it's curriculum based, So they created the master's program in clinical nurse leader, certificate programs in clinical nurse leader. It's a more advanced program um, because it's a leadership kind of position. So we're professionally trained for 2 years to become very good horizontal leaders. And obviously, we're expertly trained. So having graduated from Georgetown, 25 of us who graduated in 2020, August 24th, we are certified experts in horizontal leadership because that's what we've been trained for. So I'm very good at that. And, I'm very good at horizontal leadership because that's my expertise. That's how I was trained. I was trained to be a horizontal leader. So it's a very 21st concept leader. It's like, it's not a top-down leadership, but it's a horizontal leadership. Everybody's empowered. And so, yeah, so, I'm very good at that. I try to empower everybody. I try to empower CNAs, nursing assistants, like patient care technicians. I try to empower, like empower everybody, and in a collaborative kind of teamwork, in order to meet the needs of the patients. That's patients come first. So we prioritize patient care. And that's how AACN, American Association of Colleges of Nursing, envisioned it. Obviously, certain programs are better than others in kind of executing the vision of horizontal leadership. And it's a fairly new program. Some say it's the newest, I guess it may be the newest nursing program. Um, yeah, so I'm very good at horizontal leadership. So, but I'm very good at vertical leadership as well. But you know, um, yeah, but it's a little bit different. Vertical leadership and horizontal leadership, it's a little bit different. You can integrate it obviously, but I could honestly say I was expertly trained to be a horizontal leader. You know, so um, it's great to be able to do that at the hospital unit level. Um, and people who are trained under the vertical leadership techniques, they don't always understand the mechanics of horizontal leadership. It's the concept of collaborative teamwork. Professional learning communities, PLCs. That's very new. It's like what 10, 20 years old. So it is in that vein of professional learning communities, PLCs, that this concept of horizontal leadership was born. The kind of idea that every member of the healthcare team is empowered. You know, and one of the things that sometimes people forget is that crucial to the healthcare team are patients themselves, are members of the family members are also part of the healthcare team. And like people who are used to vertical leadership don't quite always understand that. You know, but this horizontal leadership concept is as I said, is relatively young, and we can even say that it's based on, or it was born out of, this concept of collaborative leadership or professional learning communities. Collaborative teamwork. Obviously, they closely attached to that is this idea of coaching. Instead of like being punitive and evaluative, in a punitive way, which is more of the older model. The newer model is like, let's coach each other, or leaders should be coaching the team members to become better team members. So the punitive part has been kind of taken away. It kind of coincides with my research in training principals in urban public schools, which is my doctoral research in education, to improve urban education. So, my doctoral program is called Doctorate of Education and Leadership. So, how do we train leaders in the field of education? So, one of the things that I emphasize in my research for my Doctor of Education dissertation research is that we need to minimize the punitive element in training. So I target principals, and I say, how do we make great principals? Because principals are generally the highest leaders in an organization. It's kind of like the CEO in a hospital or chief nursing officer in a hospital, right? But it's probably more like a CEO, because chief nursing officers have to answer to the CEOs. So, but so one hospital has a top CEO. So each school has a principal, right? So it's a top leader in an institution or in a building. So my research involves, how do you train the top leader in a building or an institution to be an effective leader? So what I argue for is we need to take the punitive element away. Um, and that's very, very modern concept, right? And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's based on, because it kind of developed in parallel. So it came from a different stream of thinking than this concept of collaborative teamwork. But it kind of has overlapping values. So yeah, so my research is about how do we make great principles. So like equivalent to like CEOs of hospitals, um, to the extent that we can maximize their leadership, with the result that the whole building becomes efficient, right? So my research is obviously, primary question is how do we make a leader a great leader, right? That's the issue, right? How do we make the principal a great leader of an education institution? Um, but obviously, the reason we are tackling this question is in order to make the whole building efficient, right? Because what's the point of having a great leader if you do not have results, right? There has to be results, right? So that's my research, and so my research, obviously is tackling urban education, but it can be applied in many different realms. Um, that's why my doctorate is called Doctor of Education in Leadership. How do we make people into leaders, effective leaders? So that's my research. And so so that is more vertical leadership, right? But because principal are vertical leaders, they're not horizontal leaders per se. Um, but one of the things I emphasize is we need to take away the punitive dimension, because it makes the organization inefficient. Um, you know, um, so that's one of the things that I tackle. But so the question that the doubters have is, how do you make an organization efficient when you take away the punitive element? Um, so there are people who doubt that is possible, you know, and so it's kind of an interesting thing to see, you know. But yeah, and we got to read my dissertation published as a book. So yeah, I mean, it's a groundbreaking research on urban education. It will revolutionize it. Unfortunately, we have COVID-19, so it's going to be a little bit complicated. But yeah, it's a groundbreaking research in the field of education, especially urban education. But anyway, yeah. Um, so obviously, Arlington County is a little bit more suburban than urban. Um, but um, majority of the people who were at Collins Springs Elementary School to get the food, I mean, they're all parents, family members of the children. Majority of them were like Hispanic or Arabic or immigrants. Um, the zip code that I live in, 22204, is like highly immigrant, and so I mean, it makes sense, that the College Springs Elementary School, has a lot of children who are immigrants, but also, families who are immigrants. Obviously, if the children are immigrants, the family will be immigrants, or minority communities, um, people of color, so to speak. So, yeah. So, I mean, I am running for U.S. Congress in Virginia's 8th District. And a lot of people in Arlington County see me as a leader. And some of them will vote for me, some of them will not vote for me, but they look to me to be a leader in the community. So it's like that in Arlington. There are a lot of police officers in Arlington who see me as a leader, and some of them as their leader, and many of them, may vote for me. Firemen, but it's not just that. Because I embody certain ideals that they like. So I'm a lot of people support me. Which is good. And so politics is about getting people who like your ideas to vote for you, right? So because there's a lot of complicated dimensions to politics. So how do you get people to vote for you? Like, for example, Joe Biden wasn't the front runner. I mean, most people thought Joe Biden would lose the primaries, right? But he ended up winning it. So how did that happen, right? Um, Joe Biden was able to translate certain people's, you know, certain people's proclivities to kind of channel it in his direction and get them to vote for him, right? So it's kind of like, this is where experience came in probably handy, because Joe Biden has been a politician for like over 40 years. So he's an expert at politicking. Newcomers are not as good, right? By definition. Um, so you know, um, that may be why Joe Biden won. Experience goes a long way. Um, it's hard to beat experience, and by definition, experts are people who are trained and or preferably and have experience, right? Those are what experts are. It's hard to beat experience. Um, yeah. So, but anyway, yeah. It's I enjoy politicking and campaigning, and I have 2 years of campaigning that I'm looking forward to win the office of U.S. House of Representatives in Virginia's 8th District that includes Arlington, Alexandria, Falls Church, and Fairfax County. Obviously, I intend to win. Hi, Don Meyer. Hey, I just feel I'll be a better congressman than you are. But, I mean, you're a nice guy. I like you, but I think I'll be better. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, yeah. What can I say? I mean, I wouldn't be running if I don't think I'm better than Tom Byer, right? I mean, why would I run if I think Tom Byer is better than me as a leader, as a congressman, right? So it makes logical sense. Um, U.S. has 1,390 COVID-19 deaths right now, or in the last 24 hours. Obviously, it's Dr. Martin Luther King Day, so a lot of people are taking the day off in respect for Dr. Martin Luther King. Obviously, I'm a nurse, registered nurse, so I mean, registered nurses don't take any day off, right? Because people need their life saved. But some people, if they can take the day off, they can. But some nurse has to work. Not all the nurses can take the day off, right? Some nurses can take the day off, but some nurses still have to work, right? Um, yeah. So, yeah. But 398,884 Americans have died so far in America, which is horrific. 400,000 almost, right? Um, 24,062,636 have become infected. It's less than 10%. So we're never going to have herd immunity. Uh, yes, a lot of people are dying, but not enough are dying. We need like 10,000 people to die in every city, like 10,000 people dying in New York, 10,000 people dying in Chicago, 10,000 people dying in Georgia, Atlanta, 10,000 people dying in Los Angeles. And unless that happens, we're never going to have herd immunity. So don't expect it. Um, as you know, I understand what the scientists mean when they say we're going to have COVID-19 for at least like few years. So I'm looking at minimum 2 years of campaigning under COVID-19 proliferation. So we're going to have thousands of COVID-19 deaths, 365 days a year of 2021 and also 2022. Um, so yeah, it's a little tricky campaigning in that kind of setting because I like being with people. You see how that is? I like that kind of campaigning. I don't like campaigning where you're not, you know, you're like doing virtual campaigning. That sucks. But because you want to shake people's hands, yeah, and stuff like that. Um, oh well, life is like that. Um, you cannot always control your environment. You can adapt to it, and that's the challenge for humanity, right? You can't always get what you want. Yeah, none of us want this COVID. Nobody wants this COVID, but it's here. So, um, what do you do with it? That's the question, right? Looking back at 2020, I think we can honestly say, I think Operation Warp Speed was the stupidest idea the Trump administration came up with. It's like a lose-lose proposition. Think about it. You promise a people a vaccine that's going to work. What if it's not delivered? Then you're seen as a failure. You lose confidence. People lose confidence in you. So to promise something like a vaccine was the stupidest thing to do during a campaign year, because it's like if you don't give them what you promised, then you look like a liar. People are going to vote against you, even if you tried your best. You know how it is. Politics is about results. It's not about promises. If promises are broken, people vote against you. So I don't know who is advising President Trump, but these idiots were advising President Trump. I'm just coming out and saying they're idiots, because you cannot promise a vaccine. It's like saying, oh yeah, I'm going to promise you a spaceship that's going to travel throughout Arlington without wheels, like elevator. How do you promise that? Even Elon Musk cannot promise that. And he's probably the closest guy to be able to give you something like that. You don't promise something that is hard to achieve statistically. It's like you don't want to be gambling, and because at the end of the day, you have to show your cards. And if you don't have royal flush, you're not going to win the hand. And that's where, you know, um, Donald Trump made a critical error. You never promise something that may not be deliverable, right? Yeah, because it's a lose-lose proposition. You show your hand, and it's not exactly a winning hand. So you want to set you up. You want to set yourself up to be a winner, not a loser. And Operation Warp Speed set up President Trump to be a loser. I mean, when President Trump announced Operation Warp Speed, from a statistical, strategic vantage point, I knew he was probably going to lose. It doesn't matter how popular you are if you can't produce what you're promising to produce. You know, people are not going to vote for you. A lot of people who are going to vote for you will not. So I don't know which idiot came up with Operation Warp Speed, but it's truly an idiot. You could say, one of the efforts that we are working on is a vaccine, but we don't know if that will come into existence. We're going to try hard to do that. So if you approach it like that, you're being more reasonable. So the reasonable people will vote for you. But if you say, oh, Operation Warp Speed, we're going to be like Star Trek, people are like, huh? People just don't get it. It's like we're living in a real life. People are really dying, and you're like not treating this seriously. Operation Warp Speed sounds like something out of a cartoon. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you have to kind of understand the concept of propaganda warfare. And President Trump doesn't understand that. He's a businessman. He's not a politician. He did 4 years of politics, and I would say he's a good political leader, but he's not very good at propaganda warfare. I would say President Trump sucks at propaganda warfare. But he doesn't suck as much as like people around him who advise him. They suck. The guy who was very good at propaganda warfare was Steve Bannon. That guy knows propaganda warfare. And it had President Trump had Steve Bannon by his side, he would probably won 2020 election. Because Steve Bannon is gifted. He's like naturally gifted at propaganda warfare. Um, so at the end of the day, you gotta decide what you want out of life. Do you want to win, or do you want to like sprout all kinds of mumbo jumbo that may matter something to you, but it's not going to get you to win? What's the most important to you, mumbo jumbo or winning? You know what I'm saying? What's the most important to you? You gotta decide. And President Trump decided to embrace mumbo jumbo, not victory. Because the whole concept of Operation Warp Speed is stupid. It's like saying, "Oh, Operation Santa Claus." It's stupid because it's unrealistic. Um, it's like, is President Trump high on dope? You know what I'm saying? The way Operation Warp Speed, what the heck, man? You got like less than a year to election. You're gonna like mess around with like vaccines? Like you're not even a scientist. You know what I'm saying? You don't mess around with science that way, and because you lose your credibility. You know what I'm saying? So whoever gave him that idea, Operation Warp Speed, he probably wanted the Trump dynasty completely destroyed. It was probably he was a strategist whose primary goal was to destroy the Trump dynasty. Because why would you come up with an idea like Operation Warp Speed? Unless either you're idiotic and stupid. I mean, there are idiotic, stupid people, but I don't think, I mean, most strategists know what they're doing. So I think they intentionally and deliberately led Trump down the path of destruction for whatever reason. Um, yeah, that's number one mistake that Trump made. Operation Warp Speed. Even the name itself is stupid. Um, Second thing is like when President Trump said, "Oh, let's open up schools," what did he think was going to happen? It's a virus that infects people to people. If you open up schools, people are going to get infected, right? What did he think was going to happen? That the economy would get better, that less people are going to die when you open up schools? So whoever gave him that idea to open up schools, he's no friend of President Trump. Obviously, President Trump acted upon the advice of someone, but obviously they were interested in destroying Trump. They're like, we could destroy him through inauguration or impeachment. Now we'll destroy him through the Operation Warp Speed. You gotta know the propaganda warfare. If you don't understand where the propaganda warfare is coming from, what their intentions are, you're gonna lose. And that's what happened to President Trump. He did not understand propaganda warfare. He destroyed the only man who could have helped him wade through this, which is Steve Bannon. So he just sealed his own fate. Yeah, you may hate Steve Bannon, but he's your like golden goose who lays the golden egg. You don't like fry your own golden goose. It's not about you liking him or not liking him. It's like, do you want to win or not? You need the golden goose. You could hate his guts, right? But a wise man, even if he hates the guts of the golden goose, will not kill him. Because that's the way you get golden eggs. Why would you want to kill the golden goose? You have to be an idiot to do that. Because you're going to end up losing. You're going to end up bankrupt. You're going to end up socially ostracized. You may end up in prison. President Trump and his whole dynasty is facing prison. Like President Trump could go to prison. Ivanka Trump could go to prison. Jared Kushner could go to prison. Eric Trump could go to prison. Trump Jr. could go to prison right now. Only Trump child who will not go to prison is Ariana. Tiffany, Ariana Trump. Yeah, but the rest of the Trump family, they may end up in prison. You have to be smart in life, you don't bet on a losing proposition. You lose everything. And President Trump was bankrupt 3 times, in his life, but he ended up coming up on top. You don't have that luxury running for the presidency. You go bankrupt once, you lose once, you're gone. What President Trump needed to do was have Steve Bannon by his side. Even if he hates Steve Bannon, he should have just followed his advice. But Steve Bannon helped him win first time around, right? Why why change the winning formula? It's stupid to change the winning formula. So yeah, that's what I mean. Statistically, there were all the signs were there that Trump was going to lose. Yeah, picking the right horse is half the game. Or picking the right advisor. If you pick the wrong advisor, you're going to lose. This is a global pandemic that's going to kill people. You're not going to win any brownie points by opening up schools when your children are going to end up dead. That's what's going to happen. You have to choose decisions that's not going to incur the wrath of the people or the blame. You know what I mean? If you say open up schools and thousands of children die, who do you think will be blamed? So you got to be smart in life. You can't make decisions that's going to end up biting you at the end, maybe permanently. And that's what's happening with Trump. There are people who hate him, who want to see him in prison, and they're not going to stop. So President Trump really needed to become president. Had he won second term, no one could put him in prison. So winning the presidency was all or nothing in a sense for Trump. Now, I won't be surprised if President Trump ends up in prison for the rest of his life. I mean, that could happen. Let's see. I think that could happen. Out of sight, out of mind. Trump supporters are not going to support him if he's no longer president. They support him because he was the president. See, Trump doesn't understand the fickle minds of the political supporters. Winner takes all. The ABBA song, winner takes all. Politics, it's not like they like Trump because they like Trump. No, in politics, they like Trump because he was the president and had all the power and influence. That's why they like Trump. 95% of people who like Trump liked him because he was the president. Once he's no longer the president, the same 95% of the people won't like Trump. Fickle mind of the masses, hoi polloi. Obviously, I'm a historian, so I understand that concept. President Trump, he doesn't understand. He's not a historian. He doesn't know how people are over the short term as well as long term. Because, there's nothing new under the sun. People are people, 1,000 years ago and right now. People are people. COVID-19 cases in Latin America, top 5. Brazil is number 1 with 210,299 cases, or actually death. 2% are dying. 2% of those who are infected are dying. Colombia, 49,004, 3% are dying. Argentina, 45,832, 3% are dying. Mexico, 140,704 are dying, 9% are dying. Peru, 38,770, 4% of those who got infected are dying. Yeah, I mean, you can't believe your own propaganda, right? President Trump, his problem is, the team Trump created all this propaganda about President Trump, and then President Trump believed in the propaganda. That's the easiest way to get yourself killed. You believe in your own, you take your own stash. That's the easiest way to get killed. Yeah, you make sure other people take your stash, but you stay sober. You know what I'm saying? That's the way to survive and thrive. You know, you give out your stash, and then you start taking your stash, and then you're hooked, and you're like, you know, I don't know what to do, right? That's where President Trump is. He got high on his own stash. You know, that's you don't do that. Um, and this is what I talked about this in my show again and again. Hubris is the pride that offends the gods, according to the Greeks. In American concept, hubris is the pride that destroys a person who is generally powerful. And I warned President Trump against hubris. You know, if you think like people love you because you're Donald Trump, you don't understand humanity. People love you because you're the president. The same people who supported you will probably support, whoever is the next president. That's how fickle people are. People are motivated by power. People are motivated by money. They're not personally loyal to you. You're not Jesus Christ. See what I'm saying? We talk about Jesus Christ complex. People think they're like Jesus Christ. No, people are not loyal to you. People are not loyal to Donald Trump. People are not loyal to Joe Biden. They're loyal to what the office that he represents, or the potential office that he represents. You see what I'm saying? Politics is not about liking you as a person. I mean, they may like you as a person, but politics is about I scratch your back, you scratch my back, give and take. What goes around comes around. That's politics, right? President Trump, I think, believe that his followers like follow him. You see what I'm saying? It's just delusional. People don't follow Joe Biden because he's some kind of messianic figure. They follow him because of what he can give them: money, access, whatever it is. That's why they follow Biden. That's why they follow Trump. If you don't understand the concept of politics and how that works in terms of seeming loyalty, then you're taking your own stash. You're getting high on your own stash. You're losing touch with reality. And that's what happened to President Trump. And that's tragic. Because as I said, I think he's a good guy. I mean, I think he is a good leader. I think he actually can make America great again. I actually believe that he can. But he has this fatal flaw. His fatal flaw is he doesn't understand the nature of popular support for him, uh, and how fickle that can be. People are fickle, especially when it comes to politicians. And I think Donald Trump didn't quite understand that. He actually, I think, believed that people are loyal to him. Uh, no, it's not just about you, President Trump. It's about everyone in politics. Nobody's loyal to a politician. The way they're loyal to like their pastor, you know, or Jesus Christ. Um, I mean, with Hitler, it was a little different, because Hitler made Germans feel pride in themselves, right? So in a sense, Hitler was a little bit different because he made all the Germans who were humiliated in World War One feel pride in being German, and some of them actually gave him personal loyalty for that. But in a sense, it's still, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right? Um, Hitler gave German people pride in being German, and Germans reciprocated by giving him a German nationalist state. It's a give and take. Politics is all about that. Hitler understood it. Um, and unfortunately, Donald Trump did not understand it, partly because he fired the only guy who could win him that election, Steve Bannon. Yeah, you can't be stupid like that. Um, The first article says 60 more deaths, 3,231 new cases as Holohan warns too many still breaking rules. This is Ireland. Ireland has the highest infection rate in the world, right? At one point, like within the past couple weeks. Quote, a total of 60 deaths and 3,231 new cases of COVID-19 have been reported by the National Public Health Emergency Team. This brings 2,595 the total number of deaths from COVID-19 and 169,780 the number of cases in the Republic of Ireland since the onset of the pandemic. So the numbers are small, but the rate is high, which means it can quickly spread and go out of control. One of the deaths was in December, with the rest occurring in January. The Department of Health said the median age of those who died is 85. So they're little, they're late boomers, they're kind of trailing behind, kind of repeating American history kind of thing, right? And the age range is 65 to 100 years. So older people are dying, just kind of like what it was like in America. Things are going to change. There were no newly reported deaths among healthcare workers or those under 30, but that's going to change. Dr. Tony Holohan, Chief Medical Officer, said the virus has taken root in every single part of the country. Yeah, it's bad in Ireland. Excess of 1 in 10 is currently a case or a contact. Yeah, like 10%, a little bit more than America. Second article, how did Ireland find itself with the highest infection rate in the world? Question mark. Answer to that, I guess, is found in the article, at least from that vantage point. In the space of 6 weeks, the country went from having the lowest COVID infection rate in the European Union, EU, to having the highest infection rate in the world at one point. Yeah, and that's a typo, but yeah, I mean, don't you feel like saying The almost vertical line on the global chart sends shockwaves across the island, prompting debate about what went wrong. It's like Donald Trump. What went wrong? I told you. I mean, just for months, what you needed to win. I mean, you should have listened to the Leonardo da Vinci. You'd have won. I mean, you know how it is. People give you good advice, but you don't take it, and then you come to ruin. You know what I'm saying? You've seen that happen, right? Among your friends, acquaintances. Yeah, they have good advice they could take, but they don't take it, and then they come to ruin. Yeah, that's like Donald Trump. It's sad because I like Donald Trump. I wanted to save him. I wanted him to win the election for 4 years, but he needed to, obviously comply with God's law. That's the number one important thing. But, he should have taken my advice, and which includes complying with God's law. So let's go read a little bit further. The Irish government blames the arrival of the highly contagious UK variant. They could have shut the airports down. You know what I'm saying? You always have the means to prevent skyrocketing death rate. You have the means as a government, as a self-sufficient, autonomous government. You can shut all the airports down. You can shut the country down from other nationalities coming in. You can go hermit on the rest of the world and survive. That's what isolation means, right? That's what quarantine means. If you choose not to do that, then obviously you made that decision. That's bad luck. So let me just read that again. The Irish government blames the arrival of the highly contagious UK variant, but the Irish heading the World Health Organization, Irishman heading the World Health Organization, disagrees. Dr. Mike Ryan, the head of World Health Organization, So it is due to social mixing. If you're gonna play, you're gonna pay. You play, you pay. You know, that's the concept, you know. That's there. Third article. Another year of restrictions ahead until everyone has been vaccinated, says Dr. Com Henry. Yeah, but vaccines are not going to work because there's so many mutant COVID variants that could evade vaccines. There are thousands of strains of COVID, you know, that can evade the vaccines. I mean, the only thing that's going to work is quarantine with strict contact tracing. That's the only thing that's going to work. Vaccines, even if you develop a vaccine that works, it's going to be quickly outdated as cases proliferate and virus mutates. It's not like we have one form of COVID virus just kind of infecting, you know, 30,000 people, or killing 30,000 people in one flu season. It's not like that, you know. Um, you can't treat it like the flu. It's not like that. Um, Dr. Colm Henry, Chief Clinical Officer of the HSC, has said that we have another year of restrictions ahead before the number of people vaccinated will be sufficient to protect the public in general from COVID-19. That's never going to happen. That's all like lies, lies, lies. Do not believe in the liberal media. You're not going to be able to protect yourself against COVID if you are not social distancing. And it's as simple as that. Um, Social distancing and restrictions in some form are likely for the rest of 2021. Try 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and so on. At least until enough of the population can be vaccinated to grant general or herd immunity. You're never going to have a general or herd immunity because viruses are changing. It's not the same virus. Identity is completely different. Identities. It's kind of like Arlington. You have 100 different nationalities, and you're like, oh, everybody is like Asian. Or if you look at Asians, you're like, everybody's the same. No, there's Filipinos, there's Vietnamese, there's Koreans, there's Chinese, there's Japanese. We're not all the same. We share similarities, but we're not all the same. So it's saying like everything is same in COVID. It's kind of like that. It's just ridiculous. It's ignorant, right? Everybody's not the same. So social distancing and restrictions in some form are likely for the rest of 2021, at least until enough of the population can be vaccinated to grant general or herd immunity. That's never going to happen. Herd immunity is never going to happen because one, there are too many people. Not enough people are dying from COVID. Number two, virus is mutating constantly. Yeah. This is why you need to watch this show, because if you watch liberal media like CNN, you're not getting the truth. Why do you think we're in the mess we are? Because the CNN liberal media keep lying to you that everything's going to be okay. No, everything's not going to be okay. I created this show to counter liberal media that's leading you down the road of destruction. I'm trying to help save your life and your children's life when liberal media is like, open up the schools, open up the schools. You see what I'm saying? You cannot have everything in life. Do you want to live or do you want to die? What is the most important thing? Living or die? Like living or being rich? Living or having a 100% functional economy? What's more important to you? You have to decide. You can't have everything. It's life. And that's life under COVID-19 as well. I'm going to bring you more facts and data that you need to survive COVID-19. But just remember this from today. You have to choose. Do you choose to live and survive COVID? Or do you choose something over your own survival, whatever that may be, some other ideology over your own survival. What is the most important to you? You surviving or you like pushing an ideology? You gotta decide. You can't have everything, right? Yeah, so don't forget that. So that's the theme for today. Um, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about COVID-19. See, I'm giving you expert analysis that you will not get anywhere else. This is why you need to watch this show every day. Because liberal media is what got us to this mess, right? So why would you trust that? Open up schools, open up schools. Do you remember liberal media saying that? Yeah, yeah, this is why liberal media is untrustworthy. Um, yeah, but I'm glad that you tuned in. And obviously, I created this show to save you and your children's lives. So, obviously, you're not a slave. You do what you want. But I recommend that you take my advice. You know, if you are in a school district like Ludon County where they're forcing your children to go to school, pull your children out of school and homeschool them, for example. You have the power in your hands to prevent COVID death as much as humanly possible, right? Like if your school, Ludon County says every child has to come to school, pull your child out and just, homeschool. You have the means to save yourselves. So I'm going to give you options and advice and analysis. Obviously, you do what you want. I mean, you could keep sending your children to Loudoun County Public Schools in class instruction. Maybe your children will be infected, maybe not. But they have a higher chance of getting infected. They have higher chance of dying. That is statistically an absolute fact, given the nature of this virus. Yeah. This is why I oppose the liberal media that keeps saying open up schools. Because for me, your life is my priority. Who cares about education if your child is dead? Capiche? Yeah. I hope you're well and that you will be well. And I hope that your children are well too. I'll see you tomorrow.